to them. We've been sending out emails with some of the distribution. And if anyone has not been getting any of this information we've been sending out, could you please send an email to scvplondon@gmail.com so then we can make sure that you all get the whatever we send out. I think we're trying to consolidate all the various distribution lists. So this will be one generic one, which if you could send us information on scvplondon@gmail.com. If you've not been getting any information from us, then we can add you onto this. Okay, today's topic is prayers. I know Hina Ben touched on this about 3 weeks ago, and I'm sort of going to be covering them in a little bit more detail. Now, etymology means where does the word prayer come from? The derivation of the word pray. If you look at pray, it sort of comes from the Latin word precari, which means to ask earnestly or to beg. So that's what sort of prayer, that's what the word, it comes from them. What's very interesting is Sanskrit is prashna. Prashna means to ask questions. So you can see that we are asking questions in terms of asking questions. Why is this happening? It's like kind of it's got a similar kind of connotation to ask earnestly, to beg. Definition of prayer is a solemn request for help or expression of thanks addressed to God or another deity. Now in Hindi, prayers is known as prarthana. And so let's look at prarthana. Now there are two words which are very common in pra and swa. Swa means self, swarthi, swarup. It's all to do with the self. My roop, how do I look? Swarthi means selfish. It's all to do with me. So whenever we look at swa, it's very common. Swarthi, swarup, swadhyay, to study on the self, self-study. So that's all swa. Prarthana is the exact opposite. Pra, parlok. So that's other world. So par is the opposite of self. So prarthana, it essentially means not to do with the self, to do with the others. That when people praying, apna prayers આવે છે શિવમસ્તુ સર્વ જગત પરિત નિરતા ભવંતુ પુત્રના દોષા પ્રયંતુ નાસમ સર્વત્ર સુખી ભવંતુ લોકા આખા દુનિયાને સારું થાય. So it's not to do with self. The prayers is for the well-being of the entire universe. So that's essentially what's saying. We are asking or we are requesting in a way not for self, but for the entire universe. So that's kind of, you can see where the basis of prayers are. Now let's look at prayers. The best analogy I can give with prayers is medicine and praying. What kind of dose do we need? Vitamins, small pills, maybe once a day, maybe sort of 2 or 3 times doctor says that 2-3 pills તમારે દિવસની લેવાની છે. A small pill, huge effect on the body. Same prarthnas, few lines of words, few prayers, small lines, but huge impact on so prayers. Well-being. When you have medicine, we say physical, mental, and emotional well-being. In fact, the definition by World Health Organization says that health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Disease, that's not that. It's not just a question of disease, I'm feeling well. It has to be a complete mental, social, and well-being. And that is the definition of a good health, that I'm feeling quite healthy. So essentially, to be healthy means that we need that. What does prayers do? Spirituality. Physical, mental, emotional, it has an effect. So prayers will have a positive effect on your physical, mental, emotional, and also your spiritual well-being. Frequency. How often should we be saying prayers? Now, many of us have got radiators at home. Now, we'll have the radiators on, so that it's ready. But then the radiators are switched off. And again, sort of on a timer, so that, because what's happening throughout the day, heat is being emitted out. Insulation is not done properly, the heat is emitted out. So that means, that doesn't mean the heat is staying there the whole day. Constant radiant frequency. Similarly with prayers, we are not perfect human beings. Every time, so constantly we need prayers to charge us up. So that means the frequency has to be quite frequent. Constituents. Vitamins we do not know. In fact, here I have vitamin tablets. If I read out the ingredients, D, calcium, phosphate, magnesium, cellulose, we do not understand all these things in what's in a tablet. Nothing was going on. Prayers ma. Om, Swaha, what do we understand in those words? Nothing. But the effect is positive. Even with these constituents, Even if you don't understand what's behind the prayers, the effect is positive. The whole point of this is transformation. We need a transformation. By having the tablets, there's going to be certain transformations within the body which is going to have a positive effect. Same thing with prayers, there has to be a transformation. Transformation of your thoughts, transformation of your lifestyle. So there is a transformation with prayers. Balance. Obviously to do this, we fall sick, we need to do this because we don't have a healthy diet. So we need to supplement that balance. So to that, again, prayers restores the balance of us. Side effects. Now this is a very interesting point. If you do not have tablets, then the side effects are negative. If you look at this arrow, it's down. This is gain and this is quantity. So if you do not have any tablets, the effect is down. If you start having tablets, there is gain. But if you have too much, excessive of any medicine, there will be side effects. And you'll actually have more loss coming in. It's not a linear graph by having medicine. Let me give an example of the side effects. I'll give you a financial example to explain the effects of prayers. In finance, there are derivatives. And I chose this example because I'm in that field myself. There are options, call options and put options. Quite complicated. I won't get into the detail right now. But what it means, let's say £100 of stock hoy. If it goes to 120, there's a £20 gain. If it goes to 150, there's a £50 gain. And if it goes £100 of stock or £80, there is a loss. There are certain instruments in the financial markets whereby you only get the gain, but if you niche jai, there is no problem. So તમે આજે કહો કે મને 100 પાઉન્ડનો સ્ટોક જોઈએ છે 120 જાય તો મને 20 પાઉન્ડનું ગેઇન થયું 150 પાઉન્ડ થાય તો મને 50 પાઉન્ડનું ગેઇન થયું પણ જો 80 પાઉન્ડ થયા કે 50 પાઉન્ડ થાય તો that's fine, that's like insurance premium, you are not losing out anything. Similarly, there are other instruments which are known as put options, which means you think that the market is going down કે આજે 100 પાઉન્ડનો સ્ટોક છે 120 જાય તો there is no gain for you, but if it goes to 80 pounds, then you'll actually make 20 pounds gain. Downward cycle ma you're actually making a gain in a downward cycle. 50 pounds gain, so you'll make 50 pounds gain. So as you can see, કે જેટલું નેગેટિવ જાય છે એટલું તમને વધારે ફાયદો થાય છે. What does prayers do? Prayers is a combination of both of them. In good times, please pray and you'll get positive effects. In bad times, please pray and you'll get positive effects. Both of them combined together. Positive and negative. Bad times, medicines doesn't give you that. More excessive તમે કરવા જશો, more excessive medicines, you'll actually get more side effects. Prayers, there is no side effects. In good times or in bad times, please pray. Conviction. Conviction કોનું છે આમાં? Medicine બનાવી, what do I know what the ingredients are? The scientists, the pharmacologists, they are the ones who combine this together and they come up with this medicine. Prayers, it's both. They are acharya, bhadra bhava. All these acharyas have given us some prayers, but the prayers can also come from the self, within. You can also pray. It could be your own prayers. So it could be both. Conviction could be both self or it could be with others. What is prayer? Pujya Sri Apananji. It's a very detailed article. What he says, prayer is something which is universal. It's not sectarian. No preparations are required. Puja કરવી તો આપણે પૂજા આપણે કરીએ. જો મને આ જોશે આ સામાન કરવું પડશે, આ જોશે આજે સ્નાત્ર પૂજા છે, આ પૂજા છે. Prayers માં no preparations required. Absolutely no preparations required in this. God always listens, irrespective of color, caste, creed, religion, nationality. He's always listening. King or pauper, રાજા સમરે રંગ દેવો સમરે દાનવ સમરે આપણે નૌકાર મંત્રમાં આવે છે. Everyone can pray. It's not limited to only rich people, poor people. Anyone can pray, irrespective color, caste, creed. Only requirement is divine love. That link, yes, there is someone more superior than I am, the perfected souls. Only requirement. So all need to pray. Even great souls need to pray. Acharya થઈ ગયા છે. Do they need to pray? Yes, they need to pray. Everyone needs a prayer. Dr. Hemchand Jain. What is prayer? Prayer is a simple form of devotion which is commonly used in Christianity and other religions. In prayer, the believer converses with the object of worship. Subject and object. Who subject to? Object, someone else. I am the subject, there is an object. He dedicates his worship to him, he praises him. Bhagwan આપણે praise કરીએ છીએ. Shows him love and devotion. There is a certain bias. Christianity must believe in a creator God. So yes, there is this love and devotion. He bears his suffering to him. Hey Bhagwan, mana problems here, help me out. On the other hand, a Jain who does not believe, who believes in a Tirthankar as a world, who does not believe as a Tirthankar as a world ruling God. We don't believe that Tirthankar is controlling this. He's controlling. There's some Tirthankar, Mahavir is up there in Sikshila controlling the destiny of each one of us. We don't believe in that. So we perform praise and worships and the siddhas so that we want their ideals and attributes so that we can become like them. Attributes, the qualities of them. Their worship constitutes reciting of attributes of perfected beings. It's a very big difference here. Attributes, we want to inculcate their attributes. Importance of prayer. One is request, and the other one is worship, confess, and faults and penance. There are two kinds of things. Request, આપણામાં કેટલા બધા પ્રેયર્સમાં આવી ગયું છે. આરોગ્ય બોહિલાભમ સમાહિવર મુત્તમમ દિંતુ. 24 સંપી જીનવરા તિથયરામે પશ્યંતુ કિત્ય વંદ્યમయ్య જે લોગસ ઉત્તમ સિદ્ધા. તસ્ස ઘ રોગ મારી. મારા ઘ એટલે આપણે ઉપસર્ગમાં આવે છે. ઘ means ગ્રહ, planetary effects, રોગ, મારી, દુષ્ટ જરા જંતી વાસ્મમ. જે બધું ખરાબ જે બધું હોય એ બધું મારો નાશ થઈ જાય. So we are requesting. There is also one of worshipping and confessing faults. Hey Bhagwan, હું અનાધિકારથી હું પાપી છું, મારામાં કશાય છું. So you are confessing. Curious, let's look at the basis of prayers. આપણા ઉત્તરાધ્યાન સૂત્રમાં આવે છે, curious disciple Gautam Swami is asking to Lord Mahavir, oh Lord, what does one gain by the worship of 24 તીર્થંકર્સ? Logos કે આપણે જે 24 હતો આપણે કરીએ તો what benefit he gains? And ભગવાન મહાવીર એને શું કહે છે? ભંતે, દરફતે he પૂછે. That's how Gautam Swami always used to address ને Lord Mahavir used to in a very fond way say, Goyam, by 24 સંતો the soul arrives at the purity of faith. Dansanam vissohim. That's the words which they've used in the scriptures. Dansanam, faith. Dansan has got a very lot of different meanings. Darshan, samyak darshan, faith. Bhagwan darshan karo, aakhi jo ye darshan thai. Darshan has also got samyak darshan, knowledge. It's a form of knowledge. So darshan has got very different connotations. You have to understand which one is. Vissohim. Apna tassa uttarikaran આમાં આવે છે. Tassa uttarikaranam, vissohi karananam. Vissohi, so suddhi. Visuddhi means make even more pure. So suddhi means pure, and visuddhi means make even more pure. So dansanam, so make your faith even more purer. Establish your faith even more firmer. So by praising to the Lord, we are establishing our faith. We are really making our faith very, very strong. I'm going a bit fast. I've got about 80 to 90 slides. I'm not going to cover all of them. So I'll try to do as best as I can. If there are any questions, you can obviously stop me in between. But Jain worship practices, આપણે અહીંયા જોયું કે importance of praise is worship. Worship is one thing. આપણામાં કઈ જાતના worships આવે છે? Reading and learning from the scriptures. Shravan. Singing devotional songs. Kirtan. લોકસમાં છે કિત્તૈસમ ચોવીસમ પી કેવલી. હું ભગવાનનું કીર્તન કરું છું. Singing devotional songs. Recitation of devotional composition, Smaran. Requesting and praying, Archan. Hey Bhagavan, Archan karu chu. Bowing down, Vandan. All these are forms of worship. Believing that the worshipper is merely a servant of God, doing what is advised in holy books, Dasya. હું servant છું. તમારી જે ઈચ્છા, હું ઈ કરું છું. As a worshipper believes that he is a friend of God, doing what is advised in the holy books, and also thinks that he is a close friend with his God. Sakhya. We are friends, Arjun and then Krishna. Talking to God, admitting his weakness from time to time. Atma Nivedan. You're almost in a one-to-one talking. Solitude ma hoy, people sort of self-talk. Ke Bhagwan આમ છે, મારામાં આ faults છે. કેમ નથી improve થાતું? How can I improve myself? એવા છે. So Atma Nivedan. Different practices of worship. So as we can see, types of prayers, praise denominated. Glorifying God's superhuman virtues, belittling oneself. What is the advantages of that? You are saying કે તમે મોટા છો, હું થોડો weaker છું, eliminates ego. આપણે જે પોતાનો ego કે હું જ સૌથી સારો છું, નહીં, there is someone better than me, no matter how good I am. So, but still there is someone still one up better than me, eliminates ego. Dedicating and petition. Encounter stumbling block. એક problem આવી ગયો છે આપણને. You've tried all possible means and you have not been able to resolve it. You've છેલ્લે પાટલે આવી ગયા છે. I have now the last straw, final straw. And say, I'm totally helpless and I'm now seeking divine grace. A very nice quote. The greatest work of humanity cannot match the smallest wonder of nature. Humans have achieved so much. Mars સુધી જે આજે છે, like simple cell structure છે, we still have not been able to baffle a cancer થતું હોય. Why do they do that? So that means that there is a divine grace. Something, no matter how great humans are, Americans need to really understand that. Repentance highlights one's negative qualities. which is sort of purging. You tend to purge yourself. Okay. Goal of prayers. Koine pandam pucho, youngsters, what do you want to become? I want to become a director, president of company. Fine, barabar. Why? Because, well, my responsibility, my power, my paisa made. That's fine. Fringe benefits. Tame jo director bano, you can travel business class, all expense paid for hotels. Now, can you imagine if someone were to say, okay, why do you want to become a director and president of a company? Not this, but just because of this. Mane jo હું director બનીશ તો મને જો business class માં traveling કરવા મળશે મને આ બધા hills ને મને meals ને hotels ને બધું મને I'll get all these things all paid for. Is this really the objective of becoming a director and president? આટલું બધું study કર્યા પછી આ બધું કર્યા માટે is this what I'm really aiming for? These are the fringe benefits. આપણે prayers કરીએ છીએ prayers માં do we really need to pray કે હે ભગવાન તું મને please pass કર મને પૈસો આમ કર મારું ઘર ગાડી જોઈએ છે ઘર જોઈએ છે? Those by praying with a pure good conviction you want to aim for purity of soul. All these fringe benefits will come on the side. Give me good health, give me this. That will all come automatically. That is not the goal of asking for prayers. This is really the critical point. Essence of prayers. Bhav. It's really very important. Bhav. Feelings, emotions. Apna prayers ma આવે છે આપણે almost આપણે દેરાસર જાતો હોય છે which is a very common prayer. પ્રભુ દર્શન સુખ સંપદા ભાવે ભાવના ભાવીએ ભાવે દીજે દાન. હું આપું છું દાન ભાવે દીજે દાન ભાવે જીનવર પૂજીએ. If you pray to the God with bhav, with feelings, bhave keval gnan. Just that bhav will give you the ultimate knowledge. So bhave. So contemplation is bhavna. The essence of praise is also brainwashing. આપણે ઘણી વાર કરતા છીએ, it is a form of brainwashing, and this is it's even scientifically it's established. તમે ઘણી વાર કહો હું ખરાબ છું, હું નેગેટિવ છું, નહીં, I'm good, I'll do good, I can achieve something. That brainwashing or auto-suggestion, these are sort of scientific terms but are very essential. These are the basis of our prayers. It's a way reinforcing the positive qualities and you can become one. If you dream of something and if you keep on suggesting, I'll do this, I can do this, I can do this, it will happen. And that is kind of very, look, I mean there's so many books here. The monk who sold his Ferrari, if you look at Robin Sharma Nibadi, yes, that's all what they're establishing. Think positive. Acharya Mahapragya has also written a book, The Art of Positive Thinking. Very, very similar basis, scientific and spiritual. Even apne humko man ka shakti dena, which we recite here, same thing. So oh God, give the mind strength, give victory to our minds. So mind is very important, the bhav, the feelings. Before we cheer the victory of others, make ourselves victorious. So the whole essence is the bhav, and that's very important. It's the feelings and emotions. Now let's look. Bhav. Does bhav means pound? So bhav chano. Is that what bhav is? It's not pounds, it's not rupees, it's not sterling. Bhav, as you say. Now let's just take for example, saro job madi gyo che. You know, you finished your studies first class, got a gold medal, for example. Gold medal made. You got a nice job, very, very happy. After the competition, you got a good job. You're now in Silsila Gardens. You see an apple of your eye, you fall in love, and think, wow. And then at that time, you know, there's some kind of, you say, I'm sort of falling in love, can I propose to you? And at that time, you then think, and તમે excitement તમે વિચાર કરો and તમે કહો God તું સી great હો, right? ત્યારે તમે કહો કે God તું સી great હો, because બધું મને મળી ગયું છે. I've got good health, મને પૈસો મળી ગયો છે, I've got a nice, you know, I'm so lucky to find a girl here, and sort of I've fallen in love, everything is perfect, and you say God તું સી great હો. That's a feeling, that's a bhav, that is a bhav, and you told God, okay, God you are great. But that bhav, is that a really prayer? That becomes a Bollywood movie. That becomes a Bollywood movie. That bhav is not a prayer. That bhav will make you, God to see great, will become a Bollywood movie. What is bhav? Acharya Bhadra Bhavu, sitting under a tree. Some of our sadhus in Rajgiri mountains we saw in caves, sitting under a tree, contemplating, sacrificing. This also the ખાધું નથી હોતું. એમ કે છે ભગવાન મારું કલ્યાણ કાં થશે. They are thinking of the world welfare. હે ભગવાન બધાનું કલ્યાણ થાય, આખા દુનિયાનું કલ્યાણ થાય. આચાર્ય ભદ્રભાવ. ત્યારે each same acharya will say the same word, ભગવાન તું સી great ho. That becomes a prayer. The same words, but it's coming out of his emotions. and ઈ જ્યારે ભગવાનને કહે કે ભગવાન તમે મહાન છો, તમે કરુણાના સાગર છો, ઈ જ્યારે એના વર્ડ્સ માંથી જ્યારે આટલી બધી સાધના કર્યા પછી એના વર્ડ્સ, એના મોઢામાંથી જે વર્ડ્સ નીકળશે, those do become prayers, and those are the prayers which we are reciting here and now. If you even look at Chitrabhanu હતું, he again meditated in for many years, and પછી then he came up, as we know, with the prayer મૈત્રી ભાવનું. Again એમાં મૈત્રી ભાવનું પવિત્ર ચરણો આખા ગ્લોબલ વેલફેર માટે કરે છે. Okay, caution before what you ask for. Very important. Vanditu Sutra che. It is recited in Pratikaman, and the 33rd gatha, the 33rd slok. Iyaloe parloe jiviye marane taha panchaviyo ayaro ma majjana jiviye marane asansapoge panchaviyo ayaro ma majja ujja marante. At the time of death, what is very interesting in our scriptures is one has to understand કે આપણે શું કહે છે, આપણે શોપિંગ કરવા જાય તો કે I want to buy milk, bananas and anything. આપણા scripturesમાં most of the time what happens is you first of all list the items first, and then you say કે જોઈ સિદ્ધા સિદ્ધિ મમ દિસંતુ, મને શું જોઈએ છે પેલા સિદ્ધા સિદ્ધિ. So what the object of what you want comes first, and then you say I need this. So at the time of death, what don't I want? I do not want the pleasures of this world or of the other world. In the prayers, we are not asking for the pleasures of this world. ઘણીવાર આપણે શું થાય ને જીવીએ મરણે તા આપણે શું થાય કે if everything is good for us, we want to be alive. ને આપણે if everything is bad, આપણે બીમાર પડી ગયા હોય, financial તકલીફ હોય, આ હોય કે અગર મરી ગયો તો સારું. So that is a very common thing, that if every problem. So જીવીએ મરણે તા, so એ જે balance જોઈએ છે, so that means કે if you are having a very bad time right now, you'll say, please, if I die, I wish I can be born into a Dev and I can get good pleasures. At least ત્યાં તો મને શાંતિ મળશે, અહીંયા તો શાંતિ નથી મળી. Or if things are going on so good right now, અંબાણીને પૂછો તો એમ જ કહેશે કે મારે અહીંયા જ રહેવું છે. So he will just say કે મારે જીવવું જ છે, મારે મરવું નથી. I just want to keep on living. So pleasures of this world or other world, at the time of death, please let me not have those kind of wishes. So you are just asking, I want the purity of my soul. That's really the key thing. See, these are some of the flaws. This time of death, I really do not want to have this wish. I'm doing all these good things. Prayers karu છું, મેં આટલું બધું કર્યું છે. I want the pleasures of the devlokna જોઈએ છે. I do not want the whatever we have done, we'll get it according to our karmas, but the request should not be there. Acharya Mahapragya, 31st January 2008. How to pray to the Almighty. Only he who follows the Master's disciple, obeys him, and carries out his will is qualified to pray before him. He's given a very good example. Let's say a son who salutes his father every day. છોકરો છે રોજ ફાધરને સલ્યુટ કરે છે, but does not obey him, is not dear to him. એનું સાંભળતો નથી, સલ્યુટ રોજ કરે છે ફાધરને, but is not dear, ફાધરને ગમશે નહીં. The father loves a son who carries out his will and lives as a disciplined life. આપણે પ્રતિક્રમણ આપણે કહીએ છીએ કે ખામે મી સબજ જીવે સબજ જીવા ખમન તુમે વિત્તિ મે સબ ભોએસુ વેરમ મજ્જમ ન કેણી, મારે કોઈ સાથે વેર નથી. હજી આપણે બહાર નીકળશું પ્રતિક્રમણ પછી એક સાથે વેર જે સ્ટાર્ટ થઈ જશે. Essentially what we say is what we don't practice. How can you pray to someone because you're not following this? આપણે the prayers માં double standards છે આપણા લાઈફમાં. So essentially our prayers have got no effect. How can you pray to someone? એક બાજુ તમે કહો છો કે it's almost like saying you should not kill animals, and બહાર જઈને તમે જેને મીટ ખાવા માંડી જાઓ. That's just exact stark opposite. You're saying something, બોલવાના દાંત જુદા ને ચાવવાના દાંત જુદા, એના જેવું. So prayer is complete identification. Very important. What is the goal? Who do you identify with? And a complete identification, the awakening of the power to be fully engrossed in the master spirit. Then you'll start feeling connection with one. Hey Bhagwan, તમને બધા life forms સાથે તમને કરુણા હતી. I really want to, I also share the same view that everyone, all the 6 life, I don't want to harm any life forms. I have got the same identification as you are. તમે જો છો. So then identification, then it's genuine. If you say sorry to someone, that is genuine. Otherwise it's lip service. Okay, now very important, when we pray, I think not many of us know who do we pray to. Do we really understand what Arihants are? Kevali Bhagwans. This is similar. Aranto, Kevali Panatamo Mangalam, Arihanta Mangalam. What is all this? I mean, genuinely in this audience, does everyone understand difference between Arihant, Siddh, Acharya to apna khabar chahiye, maybe this. Do we really understand between these three terms, Arihants, Kevalis and Siddhs? Is anyone who doesn't understand the... Okay, anyway, what we can do is we can quickly go through it. Let's just say assembly ma, Arihants are who? First of all, it's important, Arihants have got a human body like us. So they're actually living. That is a Arihant. So Mahavir is not an Arihant right now. So Arihants would be someone who has got a human body just like you and me. They've got a special quality that they are self-realized souls. And they only become Arihants when they have removed 4 of their karmas and they have now become Keval Gnan. So now they've got infinite knowledge, but they've still got a human body. They are still living, breathing and sitting. At that time, he then establishes a religion. So that's what we call as kind of a living God. So that is an Arihant. So after his sort of lifespan, if he goes to heaven, Siddhashilama, he becomes a Siddh. Now let's imagine what is Kevali. In the same time when Bhagavan Mahavir beta tha, ina samosaran ma deva Kevali Bhagwans. So what happens is, say for example, there is Bhagavan Mahavir, there is Gautam Swami. Gautam Swami gives Diksha to quite a few of his other sadhus. They do their sadhanas and they also have shed their karmas. So they've got Keval Gnan. So they have become Kevalis. It's almost the same. But they do not have the right to preach. Bhagavan Mahavir has bound the Tirthankar Ram karma. In the previous life, they bound that karma, and therefore they are qualified to preach. So in that same assembly, it's almost very similar. Apne બધા humans છે. But Obama hoy, na apna માં difference છે. Obama is the one who is ruling. We are not ruling. But essentially, there is no difference. We all classify the humans. They are both Arihants and Kevalis. So the Kevali Bhagwans are actually again in human form. When both of them, when Bhagavan Mahavir and all those other sadhus who have now got Keval Gnan, at the end of their lifespan, they will remove their other 4 karmas, so they've got no karmas left, and when they go to heaven, which we call that Siddhshila, they have now become Siddhas, pure souls. So that is Namo Siddhanam. Now, so it's important, right now, when we say Namo Arihantanam, in this present age right now, it's Simandar Swami is there. He is the Arihant right now. So in a different world, we believe, Mahavidya Kshetra, he is there right now at this very instant in time, at whatever, 8:40. He is there right now preaching, and he is an Arihant Bhagwan. His lifespan is huge. He was born at the time of Munit Surat Swami, and he is going to then now go become a Siddh. What we believe is in the next Chovisi, 8th or 9th Tirthankar Thase, he's going to go to Siddhshila. So that lifespan would be, I don't know, millions of years of his. So that's the huge lifespan he's got there. So right now, that's why a lot of people sort of bow down to Arihants. Acharyas, we know. Now one thing is very important to qualify. When we say Acharyas, we are not seeing a perfect world right now. Say for example, આજે તમે ઇન્ડિયા જાઓ ને તમે કોઈ કે સાધુ હોય કે હું ઇન્ડિયા ગયો તો તમે કોઈ સાધુ છે એ પૈસા રાખે છે એ લોકો ઓલું કરે છે they are now transgressing against by what we believe as the norm. What we are looking after is the qualities. One person could digress. You could have an acharya in a gusopan hoi sake. You could have an acharya who is doing something wrong. Fine. But pachi that you cannot make a sweeping statement. Jain really nakamu chhe. Oh, acharya keva che, alaka jot keva che. Abada alaka na so guru ava che. No. There could be one rotten apple somewhere. And so that does not sort of say that a typical acharya will have qualities, and those qualities we are now bind down to those qualities. We are not bind down to a particular person. We are bind down to the qualities which acharyas have, upadhyas have, and sadhus have. So it's very important to bear that in mind. You might find something sort of not right in your perception, but that doesn't call. So now we understand. So now the essence of our prayers. તમે ગમે તે તમે જુઓ નૌકાર મંત્ર, ઓમ, માંગલિક. Manglik આપણે કહે છે ચત્તારી મંગલમ, અરિહંતા મંગલમ. Same thing, revolving around and around. We are just revolving. The essence of our prayers is just this. Panch Parmeshtis. This is it. This is what we are believing in. Arihanta mangalam, Siddha mangalam, Sahu mangalam, Upadhyana Sahu mangalam, Kevali Pandato Dhammo mangalam. Om. What we say Om? Arihant. Our second A, Asariri. Siddha Bhagwans છે. So they are the ones without any sharir. So in ashariri kehવાય. આપણું શરીર છે, Siddha Bhagwans have got no body. So the other word for Siddha Bhagwans is ashariri. Acharya, Upadhyay, and M is sadhu એટલે muni. So that's another way how Om is formed. Manglik, Asya Usa. There is another word. Om Asya Usa Namastra Trailokya Nachya Tamaha. So that's another form of prayer. Asya Usa. કેટલું short form કને પૂછે. અરિહંત, સિદ્ધ, આચાર્ય, ઉપાધ્યાય, સાધુ. In whatever form, હું આ પાંચ પરમેશ્વરીને I'm praying to them. આપણા સિદ્ધાસન દિવાકર has also done a very nice one. આપણા કેમન કરે છે. નમોરત સિદ્ધાચાર્ય ઉપાધ્યાય સર્વ સાધુભ્ય. One line. નૌકારમાં તો 9 lines છે. આ એક જ લાઈનમાં નમોરત અરહત સિદ્ધ આચાર્ય પાધ્યાય ઉપાધ્યાય સર્વ સાધુભ્ય. એક જ લાઈનમાં he summarized.
Said by men, right?
Sorry?
Only said by men.
This kind of stuff, I think there are a lot of debates going on. Men bole, it's a contentious issue. There are a lot of things. Purush bole, ana bole. There are certain people who say we don't believe in that. Certain school of people say bolu je. There's other people who, if you go to Acharya Channaji, I think she's the most liberal person I've ever met. She does not believe in men bole, stri bole, purush ne stri touch na kari sake. When we went there, she was hugging everyone. So she's the person who does not believe in all this kind of aam bola na na kare. Pure heart bolu che. But men bolo, she does not believe in that.
It's a power.
It's a power which matters. So out of any, I mean, if you ask any other acharyas, they might give you some example.
Yeah,
but I know in the heart of heart, Acharya Channaji will not say that. She'll say koi pan boli sake. So essentially that's the focus of our prayers. No matter what the prayers are, this is the 5 parmeshtis which we have. You know, I told you we should do some kind of research article. There are volumes and volumes written on our acharyas. You know, each of these, આપણે જ્યારે માળા ગણીએ છીએ, આપણે 108 નોકરની, there are 12 characteristics of Arihant. There are 8 characteristics of Siddhas, 36 of Acharyas, 25 of Upadhyayas, 27 of Sadhus. That makes it 108. And these are detailed, given in detail. So this is kind of the idea. Okay, when you come to the adult class, that gives you the inspiration. Okay, there's more, just lots more to it. Obviously, I'm not going to go through all these ones right now, but just to show. There is information available, it's in English and it's understandable. You know, sadhus na bada aipa che, acharyas na aipa che, avashyak sadhus na bada aipa che. So these are all kind of the characteristics of our Panch Parmeshtis here. Why Aryans first? Apne siddha ke che, why Aryans first? Because we are selfish animals. Because essentially Arihants are the only persons who can assist us. Arihant Bhagavan jo really atena hot, he's the only one who can assist us. Siddha Bhagavans, they are now in that Siddhashila state that they cannot assist us. Apne game te prayers karsu, Mahavir, Adeshwar Bhagavan, Parshvanath Bhagavan, they cannot help us. E lokana Dev Devi che, they can feel happy. It's like the old school boys network. Oh, you from this? Tame Mara Bhagavan tame pray karo cho? Oh, come I'll help you out. So in that way they can help you out. But obviously Parshvanath Bhagavan they can't. Dev Devis can feel very happy. Ke tame jo Mara તીર્થંકર નો હું દિવસ રાત હું ઈ તીર્થંકરને વંદન કરું છું ને તમે જો કરતા હોય તમને જે પણ પ્રોબ્લેમ છે I'm willing to help you. If I've got the power, if I've got the means, I'll try to help you. So that's what Dev Devis can do. So Arihants is, so salutation is offered with the object of getting our purpose accomplished. Okay, they are the ones who accomplish our olu. Now one thing is આપણે કે છે ઘણીવાર, you know, we come up, our mind is like a monkey, right? કે આપણે ઘણીવાર કે કેમ 24 તીર્થંકર, કેમ 23 નહીં, why not 25, why not 23? You know, sometimes you have to put the mind at rest. But Jainism still gives you, with the Anekant philosophy, whatever you want. તમને એક તીર્થંકર જોઈએ છે, ગમે તે લઈ લો, આદેશો લઈ લો, માર્સોન લઈ લો. તમને 24 જોઈએ છે, ફાઇન. 25 કેમ નહીં? જોઈએ છે 25, તમે આવતી તીર્થંકર એક લઈ લો. તમે જેટલે જોતા નંબર જોતા હોય, you can take whatever number you want. So do not concern yourself as to why 24, why this. There are certain things which happen which you do not need to concern ourselves. I mean, someone gave me the reason. It depends on the geographical position of the planets. Amuk jare time proper hoy, that's the time when the Tirthankar is born. It might so happen that it's 24. So we don't have all the answers, but have the pure faith. You know, do not get bogged down. Why this? Why that? Why that? By constant occupation with the Aryans, the mind finally assumes their qualities. Nature of soul. આપણે જ્યારે આત્માની જ્યારે વાત કરીએ છીએ સિદ્ધ ભગવાનના, આપણે ઘણી વાર કે what is આત્મા શું છે? We might just come up with a few qualities. Look at them. 40 qualities. Dhyan Prakaran by Jai Acharya of 19th century is written and given the characteristics of a pure soul. Divide of all age. Ajar, beginningless, anadi, infinite, anant, kshay, indestructible. These are all the qualities of a pure soul. A pure soul is indestructible. No fire, no water, nothing can destroy a pure soul. Nothing can destroy a pure soul. So therefore, that's why it's beginningless and nothing can destroy it. I mean, તમે ઘણી વાર છે, it sometimes what it requires is like you can even come up with your own, like for example, can you look steady, achal. આપણે કહે છે મારું મન બહુ ચંચલ છે. So ચંચલ એટલે it's fleeting. Yeah, but achal means it's steady. So these are all the various kind of characteristics of a pure soul. Who else do we pray to? Shashan Devis, Manibhadra, Kantakara Mahavir, Padmavati Devi, Saraswati Devi, Ambika Devi, etc. etc. જે બધા દેવી હોય. સંતિકરમ સ્તોત્ર, it's one of that very classic, very beautiful prayers. એમાં આપણા બધા 16 વિદ્યા દેવીસને આપણે વંદન કરે છે. દરેક તીર્થંકરના what we believe is they adhisthayik dev devi. So they are kind of a guardian angel and goddess, god and goddesses associated with every તીર્થંકર. એ લોકો બધાના નામ આમાં આપ્યા છે. Again, the goal should be for purification of the soul, but sometimes because we are, look, ganivar we do then ask for materialistic things. Bimar peda hoy, a peda hoy, then sometimes we do ask, so because we are not perfect. આપણા બધા પ્રેયર્સમાં શાંતિને બધામાં ઘણીવાર બધામાં માગે છે, હે ભગવાન let me have good wealth, let me be away from fears, કાંઈ પણ fears થતા હોય. So we do ask because we are not perfect, but the goal has to be there. Just last week I came across Gujarat Jains performed Havan for Shri Manibhadra. There were 3,600 Manibhadra yantras. So this is quite common in Jains praying to Manibhadras. And Manibhadra was a god at around 550 years ago. Kenton Derasano par Manibhadra ni murti che atyane alama che. Manibhadra was a wealthy prince and he was known as Manek Shah. He had a very firm conviction in fact, it's a very classic story. He was born a Jain, but he actually became anti-Jain. And he said that Jain lokon mane fawtu nathi. And then an Acharya Maharaj then sort of clarified his doubts, and then he again became a very devout Jain. And then we call what you call is a blind faith. And in a blind faith thapachi, he was going on a jatra to Palitana, and on the way he actually encountered some robbers. Bandits came ત્યારે કે wealthy manas છે, and at that stage they chopped his head off. But એના મોઢામાંથી he was fearless. એના મગજ કે મારે આદેશો ભગવાન જાત્રા કરવા જાવી છે. And that's why and then we believe he now went into Devlok. And a very interesting story, તમે માનીભદ્રનું મૂર્તિ જોશો, on the top of his nose there is a temple. If you look at his murti, there is a temple on the top of his nose. That means his eyes are just focused on the temple. Another interesting story which Vinod Bhai said, that they got a different murti at Kenton Derasar. That murti was actually facing the other way around. But when they realized that Bhagwan aa baju che and this Bhagwan the face is the other way around, they then actually got another murti done so that if the Bhagwan murti aa baju che, the Ghantakaran is actually facing the god. કે ઈ ભગવાન એટલું બધું છે, બસ મને ભગવાનની જાત્રા કરવી છે. That is it. And so he is the one right now who helps a lot of our Japan problems there way, because conviction for the Tirthankar Bhagwans is sort of ultimate. Effect of prayers, immediate and perceptible. What is the effect of prayers? Immediate, and is it perceptible? હું આજે pray કરું, મને આજે મને મળશે કે નહીં? And I'd like to give a very good example which actually Rita Ben shared with me a couple of weeks ago. Rita Ben sort of said her sister just a few weeks ago ચોર આવી ગયા નારોબીમાં. And ચોર આવી ગયા, and as you know in નારોબીમાં ચોર આવે, so they spend about 3, 4, 5 hours તમારા આખી રાત ના આવે, and it's very terrifying experience. Nowadays they also come with machine guns and machetes and everything else. ઈ ત્યારે જ્યારે ત્યાં ચોર એના ત્યાં ઘરે આવી ગયા, they were petrified, and the sister and the family members, what were they doing at that stage? They were cowering એક બાજુ જગ્યાએ and constantly saying, hey Bhagwan, I ask for forgiveness. If I've done anything to you, please ask for forgiveness. And મેં તમને કંઈ પણ harm કર્યું હોય, I ask, and constantly એને forgiveness કરી રાખે છે. I'm very sorry if I've done any harm to you, and please forgive me. Constant ઈ લોકો કરતા હતા, they took whatever they did, but they did no harm. You can see that when the prayers are genuine, come from inside, the prayers are answered immediately, and it's very perceptible. The effect was straight away. Now it was very easy to say even if they didn't get the thing, they could easily, right now it's killing is become very common. So તમારું faith, the conviction હોય, then it is very, very immediate and perceptible. Okay, so we've now done prayers. We now come down to mantra. Again, mantras. What is mantra? Last time Hina Benata, she said man is mine, tra means protection. There's a lot of stuff here. I'm just giving the flavor in this, and if people want to really go into deep detail, you can. There's lots of information to be read. Mantra is an armor, protection. Example of armor આવી જાય છે. A power to guard the mighty fort. Not even a single atom can penetrate it. એક atom cannot penetrate. એક તમે invisible તમે કહી નાખો, it's almost like science fiction. આપણે નાના છોકરાઓને એક જાતનો આપણે આર્મર કહી નાખે કે protection, not even a small. Yeah, that's exactly, yeah, protection stotra, yeah. I think આપણે પ્રતિક્રમનો વખતે આપણે પાછું વખતે
આત્મા આત્મા રક્ષા
right. Different sounds have different effects on a human psyche. Sounds. The correct pronunciation and intonation of mantra is extremely important. And then jap is continuous recitation of that. Mantras and prayer by Dr. Jain. Jains have a number of mantras, and who use regularly to meditate upon to take themselves away from daily routine. One advantage of mantras, normal routine to pay respects to the auspicious and to pray for fulfillment of the desires. So desires again could be twofold. One could be ideal and one others could be normal. We do accept it. We are not perfect human beings. The main difference between Jain mantras and others is that Jains pay obeisance to the virtues and the people who have either become virtuous or are practicing the path of spiritual purification on a full-time basis. It's very, very important. Naam nathi avatu. Most of the prayers do not have any name. Jains believe in auto-suggestions. It's very, very important. Auto-suggestions have the power of positive thinking and to purify their thought and attain the beneficial. Mantra means to free from the mind. It's derived from mind, and Tra means protect. Now let's look at Tra. Why do I put an umbrella here? Chhatri. Tra. Protection against elements. So Tra, sometimes when you really think deeply, you can see, yes, barabar che, yes, mantra. Tra, protection, to become free from. So in a way, it's like protection. So if you say mantra, so the tree is protecting the mind, the umbrella is protecting the mind. So it's like the protection. So you can now understand that one of the very important things in Acharya Sutra, Bhagavan Mahavir said, do not take anything for granted. Whatever I say, use your discrimination, use your intellect, and then question. Don't follow it blindly. Gamme te kehna ke you aaj હું તમને કહું મંત્ર ત્ર છે. So does it really mean that? If you think, and some of the things are આપણા normal language માં પણ આવે છે. So it is very important thing. Bhagavan says, please use your discrimination and then you follow. If I say ahimsa is good, do you experience that yourself? કે મને આ pain થતું હોય તો બીજાને પણ pain થતું હશે. Don't just don't take my word for it. So a mantra consists of words or sounds bringing in spiritual energies clearly before the mind. So the mind is protected against the flow of subconscious and conscious thoughts. Jap is a process of continuously repeating a mantra or sacred names for a certain period of time, implying total identification with the name iterated and the wholehearted concentration on the vibrations generated through the sound. Chanting of mantras is 3 types. Jap, high level, voiced. Antar jap, low level, voiced. Mansik jap, mental or silent. Basically, the whole process constitutes an effort to migrate from the gross to the subtle. Gross sounds produce gross vibrations. That's gross vibrations. Subtle sounds produce subtle vibrations within the body. Subtle vibrations are more powerful than the gross ones. There was a Shramiji saying out, it's very important how we recite our prayers. Arham sound hoy, so all the sound kh comes from the throat. There are certain sounds which come from the palate. In fact, she made an experiment. And she said, all of you, the way you're reciting the Naukar mantra is not right. Because you're not putting the right emphasis on the right letters. You've lost and that's why you don't get the effects of the Zulu. Vitamin C, you don't take the right dose, you won't get the right effect. Ra, ta, all these letters come from the head. These come from the teeth. Ma, kare rakhe. And other comes from the lips. And she basically said, sabva, sabva. If you look at it, where do you put the emphasis on? On the first one, on the second letter? And then, these are kind of my personal notes which I wrote, but she basically went into in-depth on saying that where should be the emphasis, how should you pronounce it, and then you will start getting the effects. Western thought. Mantra, magic, very important. Western what is mantra, they'll say magic. Now, before going into all this, yet psychology now allows the principle that thought is itself a force. Very important. Psychology is now saying thought is a force. Mechanical force, our force, but thought is a force. Psychology now admits that. And that by thought alone, properly directed, channeled properly, without any known physical means. આપણે ઘણી વાર શું થાય કે physical means આપણે બ્રેક મારીએ તો there is a brake નો પેડલ there is a physical means. પણ આમાં without any physical means, હું આજે કંઈ thought વિચાર કરું, there is no medium here. The thought of another and hence his whole condition can be affected. You can make transformations to yourselves and to others. If I start thinking about my grandfather who is now deceased, yes, maybe if he's thinking that there is a thought process, there could be some form of communication. If a person's mind is controlled by forces of revenge and jealousy, exact મગજમાં revenge and jealousy, it cannot express love and sympathy. Exact opposite છે. If I have got love and jealousy, then I do not have love and sympathy. And even if they show love and sympathy to others, it will yield no good result. મગજમાં શું છે? બોલો. The thought will not be reflected in love but in hate. Virchand Raghavji Gandhi, which I think Vinod Bhai said, he was the first person who went into the World Conference in Chicago in about over 100 years ago. He represented the Jains. Scientific analysis. I mean, this I really find it, I mean, because from a science background, every living being is a dynamic focus. Apne force hoy, there is a motion. Jara apne force karta hai, there is always a motion associated with force. Aaj main karu, it will move because the force mein karo. So with every force, there is motion. Propagated motion becomes transformed according to the medium it traverses. कि जे जातु medium છે એ રીતના the force will become, it will transform depending on the medium. Motion tends always to propagate itself. Let's look at the scientifically કેના જોઈએ છે. First of all, thought is a force. With force there is dynamism. It's a dynamic force, not static. Static એટલે બંધ છે. અહીંયા force છે પણ move જ નથી થતું. It's not moving at all. That's static, but this is dynamic. It's changing. So it's changing. So therefore, for any kind of work, mechanical, electrical, nerve, psychic, they all disappear outside of visible effect. But there's some kind of transformation which is occurring. In an identical medium, there is only transmission. If the medium is different, there is transformation. So interesting. If there is the same medium, there is transmission. But if the medium is different medium, then there is transformation. And they have given an example of an electric current through a thick wire. I won't go into that. What they are also saying is science believes that at once chemical, physical, psychical goes on in the brain. So this force is also going on in our brain, and therefore that this transformation is occurring. I'm just trying to. The point of this slide is, okay, prayers. There is a thought process involved in prayers, and with those prayers there is a force, and with that force it concurs very much with what the scientific analysis is. Okay, there is some transformation occurring. It's હું આજે prayer કરું છું નથી effect થતી. Well, that's fine. You don't see it, but there is some benefit happening, which is not perceptible. Professor, whatever it is, thought stays at home as the chemical action of a battery. Our battery છે, battery માં there is a lot of the chemistry છે. When the wire is touched, then the current flows. This is like that's what he's saying. This is the battery. Thoughts are in here. When there is some kind of wire which is being connected, then there will be effect. So when you have that connection, if connection ekવાર થઈ ગયા, then you will see some kind of effect, some kind of transformation. But look at the beauty. After science, after spirituality, we have got some kind of answers. This okay, che? There's a dynamic correlate, but in the case of battery, in the case of a brain, I know not what. So what is that happening? I do not know what. After the prayers, courage, the effects, transformation, so there are. He says that scientifically we don't know what it is. Can't check karu, but I do not know what it is. So in conclusion, Professor Isu કહે છે કે the thought force, જે મગજનો જે force છે, he calls it a dynamic thought, mind power, thought force, જે પણ કહો, he says there is there, but in manifestation કેવી રીતના છે, he doesn't know how that happens. Okay, so he said mantras are not mere thoughts, they are made of sounds which generally have meanings of a language. So the point of this slide is what he's trying to say is we do not know certain combination of sounds who have got what effect. But people who know, that's why we say mantra last time when you were saying mantras are given by gurus because they understand what effect it has. So that's what he's trying to say. If it has got no effect, then it's not a force. So therefore combination of certain force have got a certain particular effect, It's a question of like the DNA sequencing chain. We do not know which DNA affects what kind of diseases. So it's only the experts who know that. So that's the reason why we need gurus to give us this kind of mantras. Okay, how mantras act? Namra Muni. If a word is repeated again and again, it becomes a mantra incantation. The glaze of a diamond increases when it is polished for a longer time. Similarly, as the repetition of chanting of mantra increases, its magical powers get manifested into more and more. When the repetition is done for a million times or more, the mantra becomes accomplished. Siddh. Namra Muni કહે છે. Now, આપણે નૌકાર મંત્રનો આપણે સ્તવન કહે છે, એમાં શું કહે છે? 68 અક્ષર એના જાણો, 68 તીર્થ સાર, 8 સિદ્ધિ દાતાર. આપણે જે કરે છે 8 સિદ્ધિ, 8 સિદ્ધિ. What are the 8 siddhis? What he's saying is, if you recite this mantras million times, you become totally engrossed with it. You start getting powers, some kind of siddhis તમને મળે. What are the siddhis? Ability to become small as an atom. And these are all the kind of 8 siddhis which are highlighted. You see, this is a beauty. આપણે નૌકાર આપણે જ્યારે પ્રેયર્સ કરે છે, we do not know what we say. Adda Siddhi Data. This one word, you can now see what are the 8 siddhis you can get. And I also like to say one thing. This is again the same thing in maths, people who are mathematicians here. This is known as Monte Carlo simulation. Okay, what you do is okay. Time out. Again, basically what happens is lot of what happens in the financial markets are like derivatives and complex instruments. That's what they do. What you have to do is, let's say, how do you get a price? What's going to happen in the future? I do not know. So what people do is some stock price will follow a certain path. It might follow this path or it might follow that path. Ucho jase, niche jase. And what the computer programs does is they look at millions scenarios. Millions uthase. Pachi they do an average. Okay, this is what's going to happen on average. So same thing what he said, you then become totally, that's how you come up with a price. Same thing with this. A million times you now become one with it. You've now got your price. You've now got your prayers. This is good. A mantra is not the same thing as a prayer or self-education. Prayer is conveyed in what words the sadhak chooses. Prayer ma suche, it's you. What you want to convey, that is conveyed in a prayer. But in a mantra, it has got a specific effect. So it's not about your choice. It's all about mantra bolis anomana thase. It's very nice. This is very nice. Shukla Dhyan. In prayer, the person may have imagination and thinking different from the prayer itself. આપણે ઘણી પ્રતિક્રમણ કરે છે, આપણે આ બધું કરે છે, આપણે કરે છે ખરા, prayers બોલે છે, but our mind and imagination is somewhere else. So you are not with it. You are not with it. But it is not in the case of concentration or meditation. The whole point of meditation is you are one with it. Swimming આપણે શીખતા હોય, પહેલા કોઈ કે હાથ આમ કરવાનો. So that is, but once when you learn to swim, you don't think હું હાથ આમ કરું છું. Cycling, કોઈ કે cycling કેના શીખવાનું છે. પહેલા કરો you start wobbling. But once when you know, પછી તો હાથ તમે કાઢીને પણ some people can cycle without the hands. So that is what is meditation. So until you can say I can swim properly or I can cycle, that becomes meditation. Otherwise, in prayers, your thought processes might be different from the prayer itself. In prayer or feeling, the chanting the word over and over again, in dhyan, you become immersed with it. Then you don't have to pray it one and again. Repetition na thau, you just become one with it. Okay, I mean, Om, Reem, Aram, Nama. That's an example of a mantra. I think I might leave it for next week. Okay, what happens is now we are coming to a stage whereby a lot of studies have been done about mantras and the effect and even scientific. Okay, what mantras which have effect on which part of the body? Chakras. Spiritually, chakras che. Scientifically, they have done a mapping. Chakra, then it maps with this kind of gland of the body. And once when you understand that, then it becomes even more. Okay, there's a blend of kind of the science and there's a blend of the spirituality. So I think we'll probably leave it until next stage.